Do you find responsibilities in work, family, and health too overwhelming to handle? Welcome to Health, Wealth, and Relationships, Thriving in the Balancing Act. Join physical therapist and relationship consultant Dr. Gina Williams in building stronger connections, advancing your career, and elevating your overall well-being. Here you'll find practical tips, inspiring stories, and actionable strategies for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
All right, welcome to the podcast, everyone. I'm Dr. Gina Williams, owner of Mobility Health Physical Therapy. It's a physical therapy company that's based in Manhattan. We're also concierge, so if you live in Manhattan, we can come to your home and take care of you there. We also have telehealth physical therapy, and we're in many states in the United States, helping people all over the U.S. And today's podcast, Health, Wellness, and Relationships, Thriving in the Balancing Act. Today's guest is Carolann Valentino. Carolann, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Carolann is amazing. She does it all. Carolann is a powerhouse in self-entertainment and, as she calls it, edutainment, and she'll have to explain that to us later. As a dynamic speaker, positive psychology practitioner, 15-time award-winning entertainer, a comic, a world wellness coach, she fuses humor, inspiration, and wisdom to captivate audiences worldwide. With a background in TV, film, and Broadway, and leading one of the world's top restaurants, Carolann blends corporate savvy with entertainment. Now she guides Fortune 500 CEOs, celebrities, and individuals towards growth and healing. Known for her practical wisdom, signature provolone balls, which she has to explain, she empowers others to embrace their strengths and intuition.
Yes.
With expertise in applied positive psychology, trauma therapy, and resilience training, Carolann turns challenges into opportunities, helping people unlock their true potential. You can find Carolann on Facebook at Carolann Valentino or on Instagram at Carolann Valentino 1. Welcome, Carolann. It is such an honor to have you. Thank you, thank you. And now explain what you mean by edutainment.
Okay, so I edutain, meaning I provide people with science-based, proven resilience skills, introduce you to concepts that you may or may not already know, but we amplify on top of that because there's things that I like to offer that are not yet so mainstream, such as tapping into your superpower, your intuition. And with that, I combine my background, which I do professionally, side by side to self-empowerment, is entertainment. There's nothing that I know better than doing the two of those together. So I make you laugh, kick your butt, and at the same time, you're like, whoa, I'm getting some major tools here to thrive. So it's all about human flourishing through entertainment. So think of like Oprah Winfrey meets Tony Robbins meets Bette Midler on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, wow. What a night. And definitely when we met, I think it was probably that experience. We met through a friend of a friend, and I think you saw a connection before I really did.
Before you were like this.
I'm like, who is this woman? And she's a lot. Let me feel out the situation first before we become BFFs on site. And I'm not sure.
And then what happened?
And then we really had some great conversations, and we really have similar personalities, and we both care about people so much, and finding the best in people, and finding out what motivates them so we can help them even more.
That's right. We love people.
Mhm.
You can't pay somebody to love somebody,
Mhm.
truly. You can act like you love them, but you and I genuinely care about people.
Yeah, and that's what matters. That's what works, and that's our secret weapon.
Yep. Yeah. That's what made me successful in corporate America. It's falling in love with the customers, the team, and that falling in love doesn't mean romantically. Science has proven you can actually love somebody and feel love for somebody right then and there when you first meet them. So A lot of people don't realize that they,
Yeah, I mean, it's the love for human beings. So tell everyone about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, what's your background?
I grew up, well, I was born in New York, and my family transplanted to Dallas, Texas when I was 4. So it was during a time where diversity wasn't as robust as it is today. So you have to imagine this New York-based Italian family moving to Texas, and they were like, "Who's them people moving in next door?"
Culture shock.
Yes. Aren't them the strangest looking people? It just was crazy. We're like, well, we're an Italian family. They're like, y'all in the mob. I'm like, no, no, we don't like saying that. That's a stereotype. And then my mother is a major chef, and would go have to search for like the real cheese and the real, Italian ingredients. Not Kraft cheese, but like the real cheese to put on the chicken parmesan. So
Mm,
it was fascinating growing up during a time of diversity, which I'm grateful that across the country we've grown in that area for the most part. And I transplanted from there and then moved back to New York City after graduating college. I was set to go to LA. I had an agent ready to go to perform. And then my psychic intuitive mother, which is what I teach people how to amplify their intuition, she was like, no, the job that you're working in, they're going to ask you to go to New York and open their New York $36 million brand new location.
wow.
And I was like, no. And she's like, yes. And I was like, don't believe so. Next day at work, 2 days later, so the corporates were like, you're going to New York to open the store. I'm like, mm. So when I got there, I started performing. Even though I was working like 14, 16-hour days, I was staying in a hotel. And this is what I teach people. It's like you take what you have and you create something with it. And so on the nights off that I had after working 16 hours, I would rehearse down in the basement of the hotel, coming up and creating this cabaret show that was empowering and funny. And so I put it up, and the CEO and the vice president and everybody came, and they're like, you belong in New York. We're going to pay you a lot of money to stay. So I ended up staying, running this monstrosity and helping it come up to one of the highest grossing restaurants in the world for a la carte dining. So I was dealing with the movers and the shakers of the world, um,
Wow.
and learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about myself. I was simultaneously performing when I was off the clock. And so I had these two lives going. And so one day I realized, looking at all the wealthy, famous people we were serving, I was like, no one really looks very happy around here. And I'm
Mm,
like, I'm not feeling this alignment anymore, and I wasn't feeling good. So it was my body telling me something was up. And so I took a leap of faith and left that high and dry without a severance package, and I was making a lot of money.
wow.
And I took
Brave.
a leap of faith, and I literally recreated my life as a award-winning entertainer, comic, speaker, wellness expert, like literally. And it really I practice what I preach, right? It's about faith in the unknown, having your purpose very clear, and being open to possibilities. And if you believe in quantum physics, which that's a science-based, can't argue with it, that everything is out there already.
Yeah.
Everything that's been created already was once a thought, in the quantum field, already in existence, and that thought, and you move into reality of actually creating it. So it was not easy, but I would not. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it would have been nice to have, so much security of knowing where the next paycheck is coming from. But, you know, risk taking equals wisdom, equals manifesting, equals evolve,
Growth. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
When the soul stops growing, there's a problem, right? Soul needs to keep growing. So here I am now where I scared you on a video call. And we started working together, and I was like, that's my sister.
Yes, and it's a match made in heaven. And I've been wanting to pick your brain and find out, how you do things and some concepts that can help me and everyone who wants to improve themselves. And so just tell me, like, what motivates you? What makes Carolann motivated to do what you do every day?
Well, if you figure out your why you want to do something, and before that, it's figuring out your purpose, right? What did you come into this life loving to do? Not what your mother told you, your father told you, what society told you, because that's kind of like a key. Science is, has proved that like you can lead it back to childhood, to your passions. And it
Mm,
gives you an insight of one of your purposes. And so for me, it was always to, God gave me the ability to entertain people, and also my desire to help people feel loved and empowered is what fuels everything. Like,
mm,
people matter to me. And so because I know that, when I wake up and I'm feeling bad or whatnot, it's my love for people and making a difference and waking them up that makes me go back on my train track.
mm.
There's two train tracks. Am I going to go away from what I'm here to do, or am I going to stay sulking in the temporary discomfort of the moment? And so I
Wow.
always try, one of the things that has always helped me is not paying attention to what is. I call it what is itis. If what is not making you feel good, you keep looking at it, you're going to give more energy to it. And so
Yes.
the brain doesn't know the difference between reality and non-reality and
Yeah.
imagination.
Yeah. Many studies have shown.
Yep. And that's true, because you and I are perfect examples. I've watched you say, you know what, I want to do so and so. And you start dreaming about it. And then next week, I'm like, you already put that up. You're like, beep, 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 beep. I was like, there's my girl. And
Yeah.
I remember speaking to you about, because I've always done like motivational speeches and working programs. But I told you, a year ago or so ago, I said, I want the biggest stage to speak on.
Yes.
I want like
You did.
15,000 people. Let's go full throttle, televised. And I manifested that.
Yeah.
And I remember you and I just sitting there replaying it as a reality. And we
Yes.
got excited about it. And you were backing up the vision. I was backing up the vision. And so that's how we roll.
Yeah, we make things happen. You manifest, you make your goals towards getting to that step, and just think about the completion of it, not, the challenges or if something's going to get in your way, you're going to get there regardless of how up and down the path is. That's your goal and we're reaching it.
Yeah. And something that I share with my clients, that the subconscious and the conscious brain have to be on the same page. So people are like, oh, well, I don't believe in manifesting. I don't get it. Well, if we do, we all do. We have traumas, some bigger than others. But growing up in my family as an intuitive child, and my parents had their own business, I uh, I didn't like one of my dad's business partners as a little
Mm,
girl. I was
mm.
like, I don't, and my mother didn't like him. We didn't trust this person, and this person ended up stealing from my father, and we were basically out on the street.
Wow.
My dad had to rebuild himself on his own, but I planted this seed in my mind that, super wealthy people are not nice, and that's not a good thing to have,
Mm,
because it'll be taken away from you. And
yeah.
so I had to go into the subconscious. It wasn't conscious. If I say I want to make so and so money, I have no awareness of the subconscious writing the frequency and running the show, because the conscious brain accepts and rejects. The subconscious brain is the emotional, cannot reject and accept. It is feeling the feelings. So when we're aware of those two things being off, we can fix the subconscious and heal whatever story or trauma or belief system, because the belief is the paradigm, and the paradigm is what leads the show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It brings me to one of my questions. So it's so challenging to nurture relationships and keep things going while we're trying to reach our goals and make ourselves, content and happy. Any tips on how we can try to maintain that homeostasis?
So you're saying personally relationships with other people or with yourself?
Relationships with other people and not losing ourselves or focusing on one more than the other and instead try to keep that balance without causing trauma to ourselves or damaging that relationship we have with the ones close to us.
So what I would say to that is, you know, a lot of times I like to use the mama bear and the cubs as an example. So the mama bear gave birth to all these cubs, and there's a bunch of predators on the lurk, looking at the cubs like that's dinner, right? And the mama bear is not nurturing them. She leaves them to go fight out whatever the predators or to leave. So they're vulnerable for attack. So I view the cubs as us, starting with us, of honoring where we are, like you're protecting your baby cub. You are the cub. And so when you take care of yourself, and let's say you only have an hour a day to honor yourself, that hour, or if you're not doing anything, finding the 5 minutes here for meditation or a 20-minute massage across the street, or shutting it down before you go to bed, or it's just you and you're able to fill up your tank. Because if a person's tank is fully, could be just an hour a day, but you're filling up the tank. To me, what that does is give you, us, the energy psychically and emotionally to even look for avenues or pockets to connect with people. But what I find coaching with people is that they're depleted. Or what about me? So why would I even bother trying to connect with somebody when I'm resentful that I'm not getting what I need? So they're constantly in a gerbil's cage, like spinning around, you know what I mean? So putting yourself first and making sure your needs are being met emotionally, intuitively, meditation, all that self-care, and then picking one person for the month, and always connecting with people at night, whatever, just saying, hey, I'm forecasting next month, let's focus on at least having a lunch this person this month, or just making sure that you're putting something out on the calendar to ensure that you're forcing yourself to do something outside your typical routine. If you don't plan it, the universe isn't going to rearrange circumstances and events. But if we're doing that and our cup is empty, it's like a chore, and the universe, you're gonna stop it from happening, because the
Mm.
body's not gonna want to output what it doesn't have. So does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. So you mentioned this gerbil's cage that someone's constantly in. How it when someone is in that state, do you work on helping them get out of that?
Of taking one thing at a time,
Mm.
one thing at a time. So it's like being in a growth mindset, right? Fixed mindset is I have no time. It's never going to happen. It never happens for mothers. They're working. You got kids. It's a done deal. So that's a very fixed mindset where the brain kind of shuts down, it closes in, where it doesn't see potential. So when you're in a growth mindset and you take things and you chop it up in little pieces, that you take one thing out that needs to be dealt with that's causing the gerbil spinning. Let's say it's you don't have time to do anything for yourself because you need somebody to watch the kids and you can't afford a nanny. You would take that out, that piece, instead of all the other things. You take that piece out and you look at it and you strategize piece by piece of like, how can I start to feel like I have assistance? Where in the day, I have a friend who's a name or who's close by. Maybe at this time when she's free, she could come over and I could feel like I'm having rest. That little chunk leads to broadening of perspective, of thinking, of a growth mindset, a little tiny chunks, the process of getting to the bigger goal, which is having more relief. We praise that one thing, that pocket that we see, and we celebrate it. When you celebrate it, you stop feeling so, oh my God, this is never going to end. The nervous system gets a little change in how it's used to operating, fight or flight into reset mode. So the nervous system calms down, the brain starts to calm down. You start to see evidence of what you desire. And so it creates more positive emotion. And when there's more positive emotion, that little piece, you focus on it, you're more likely to keep doing the thing that led to that, which leads to more possibilities, which equals a better mood, which equals a better form of operating for the day. And then you start to see more evidence. So then it becomes more of a habit of feeling and thinking differently, even though what you're wanting is way over here, you're over here moving closer and closer. So the process of that becomes the thrill of going from point A to B. It's the process. It's called life. So you learn more, you experience more. And if you bypass when people have had things handed to them, as a coach, I've noticed that people that have had so many things handed to them, they're bypassing learning. They're bypassing living and the contrast, because the grit, the contrast, and not having it just like that, you're bypassing wisdom, and wisdom is manifesting. So if we focus on the little tiny wins or the little tiny chunks, it leads to bigger things because it has to. It has to.
Yeah, wow, that makes complete sense. I really like the one piece at a time, because sometimes it can be overwhelming for someone.
Yeah.
And so for those who are stuck in the mojo of just going and going and going, and they're not very self-aware, and they can't tell that this cycle, it can't go on forever, how do you get them to be more self-aware and understand what's going on and help them get to a point of growth?
So if they're super crazy busy, I like using the iPhone notes or a journal they carry around with them or a voice recorder. And they pay attention to what they're feeling throughout the day. Start paying attention to what shows up throughout the day. What are you thinking if you could catch it? Because we have hundreds of thoughts a day, right? But if you're able to catch it, you write it down. And what it does is create more mindfulness. And then when you're more mindful about what's really going on, then I start to infuse exercises to help people be more mindful about what they're wanting to bring in. Because awareness, you're attracting no matter what. We're an energy field first and foremost, right? We're an energy inside a body. And so if you're energy, and you look at applied kinesiology, you know this. The body knows. The body knows. When you listen to bad music that's very hateful, you feel like crap. When you see beautiful puppies being born, for the most part, we smile and feel warmth. So what we're seeing, what we believe, what we put our focus on creates an emotional response. So if you're not even aware that you're focusing on, this thing that happened, 2 months ago and it pissed you off, your boss fired you, and all day you're long, you're like, screw you. I got to work all the time. I never get what I want. That son of a gun. That's what you're carrying around. You don't even realize it. And so energetically, you're putting out just like a radio signal. You're tuning into hate radio 101. So the frequency coming back is more hate and frustration. The satellite's going to line that up. So the more we can break these things through awareness, It's something that I love to do is create segment intending, where you take the day and you chop it up. And like, let's say you wake up in the morning, that's a segment. How do you want to wake up for the day? Boom. I intend, when you say the words I, da da da, the cells take your command. You're not a victim in that way. Like, things happen to all of us, but we could be in a victim mindset, or what am I going to do about it? Because
Yeah.
things happen to all of us that we don't ask for. And so what are we going to do about it? Are we going to be in the driver's seat or the passenger seat? So segment intending is something that I like to ensure that we're at least aware that we're commanding the reality that we want to see. I intend to make this day so electrifying. I intend to meet two people that line up with what I'm here to do. Universe or whatever, quantum physics, show me the way. You go to work, driving in your car, news segment. I intend to listen to a podcast that I love. It's Gina's mobility content. So I'm going to listen to that podcast, and I choose to learn something that I'm going to gift to people today. Once I get to my destination, I will have clear people on the road are matching my joy. It's easy breezy. New segment, get to work. I intend da 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 da. So what it does is you're practicing. I get to create my reality. I can't control the outside, but I can control what I focus on and what I'm putting out, and I'm more guaranteed to attract back that I'm giving out.
That makes
More
perfect
of being in
sense.
the driver's seat, because I believe mental health has gone up. You and I both know it's quadrupled, like it's just off the charts. Because I believe people feel helpless. I believe there's lack of connection and human interaction. I believe there's less of feeling and seeing somebody and oxytocin, hugging people. We're online, there's tons of negative news, negative, tearing people down. It's all energy. If that's what you're going to watch, that's what you're going to carry around. But you have a choice. You're in a driver's seat. We're in the driver's seat. Nobody's telling you how to think. You get to decide. And that, people understanding how much power they have, automatically I see people start to have hope again, that they're not
Yes.
stuck.
Yeah, when you talk about segmenting your day, on every single day where I wake up an extra half an hour early in the morning, set my intention, work out, exercise, that entire day is amazing no matter what.
Yes, I've seen you. You've given birth to 3 children, running a full business, traveling around the city, operating, like it is non-negotiable for you that you would never know if you had a bad day. And you and I are the same. We're movers and shakers. We don't let the present moment get us down. We're over here. We take what is and we move around it. Okay, that didn't work out. That was painful. Okay, I'm going to feel it. What did I learn from it? Get curious. What am I going to take away? What am I going to do next time? What would I do differently? That's more of a growth mindset. That's a person who's willing to take risks, because the risk taking equals expansion.
Yes, and learning and
Yes.
improving and getting better.
Yeah. That's why when we praise children, oh, just hit the goal, get the goal in the basketball game, or, just get the touchdowns. You only praise children when they hit the goal. Whatever. If you praise the process, the child is 100% more likely to not only hit the goal, but exceed, go past, because they're less likely to identify self-worth, whether you love them or not, based on hitting the goal or not.
Yeah, they're going to enjoy the process.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where real people, innovators, people that live life so freely, willing to I'll try that, I'll try that, I'll try that. And they just go bananas. They have the best lives. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway, because it's the little chips along the way that we want. We want to collect little chips. But if we're only focusing on hitting the goal, and like, look at all the Olympic athletes, they're all process praising themselves.
Mm.
They know how to practice mental awareness and visualization where before they do something. But in order to get to that excellence, they're in the process.
Mm. Amazing. And so you're a world-renowned fitness expert. I'd like you to discuss the connection between the mental and the physical body of someone's mental state, and how it affects their body and their physical and their health and their healing.
Well, I believe in functional, pardon me, I believe in, well, the name of your company is mobility, but functional training and the power of what happens physiologically when you move your body in a certain way. It has a direct effect on the hormones, the chemicals. So let's say if you're sitting past a half hour, the brain kind of goes to sleep. And so when you move, you release BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And it's a chemical that gets released into the body and the bloodstream. And it's like fertilizer for the brain. And so I believe part of mental health, the rise of sitting on our phones, computers, texting, Instagramming, scrolling for hours. If you're not moving, you're not really living.
You don't
And
move it, you lose it.
you lose. And it's true. Like if you set the timer every half hour on your phone and you move, you're going to notice that you feel alert. Your cognitive ability goes up. It goes down about 70% when you sit over a half hour. So if you want to have a really good test on something that's coming up, you got to move. Move. It's fertilizer for the brain. And how you move, the more open you are, the more you stretch, you break up of that fascia. And we're hunters and gatherers, and genetically speaking, they say that once you retire, the body starts to break down because you're not usually utilizing it. And so it's like this internal protective system that we have as hunters and gatherers. If we're not moving like a hunter and gatherer, it's almost like the internal clock is like, yikes, I'm not being utilized. So that means I might be in danger of being attacked by predators. It's time to shut down.
Mm.
And so how you move is super important. 3D, all planes in motion, and not just doing machines. Stretching, doing animal flow movements, crawling, using stick mobility, expanding the chest, yoga, anything that moves the body in that diverse, all those planes, you're less likely to start the aging process. And to me, that directly relates to your emotions as well, because when you open your chest out, science has proven that it literally signals to the brain, I'm happy. When you close your chest, it's I'm in danger, I'm protecting myself, which has a consequence, chemically speaking. So for me, if somebody doesn't really want to exercise or not feeling it, I would first have them doing simple things to communicate to the brain that we're happy and we're joyful. And I'd have them start moving that way instead of just jumping into a routine. They're like, just getting the mind-body connection of mindful journaling and praising and saying what you're wishing for and creating the evidence for it that you notice each day that boosts their confidence to even want to get up and move.
Mhm.
But how you move is like science has proven, studies have shown that if you just do one type of modality of training, if you're just cycling, the telomeres, the DNA and how fast we age, it shrinks faster than the person who's doing 5 different forms of modality, a yoga class, a dance class, weight training, cycling. That person, I believe it's 30 to 60% less in the rate that the telomeres shrink. So it's a
Wow.
huge
Difference.
percentage,
Wow.
huge percentage, huge, because you're also feeding your brain, right? Anti-Alzheimer's. The more your body, your hands, like using right brain, left brain, and switching things up, the body's like, whoa, I got to be on guard. I got to be on it.
And continually learning, it's just exercising all the muscles, the brain and the muscles in the body.
Yeah. It's like biohacking every single day. And that's why I'm a big, you'll see I don't have a lot of followers on Instagram because I don't like to go on there because I don't believe in it. I'm in the doing live. Let that speak for itself. And so I'm in this, me personally, it's like, I want to connect with people and do the work. When I got the award for Equinox Fitness Brand for Instructor of the Year award, I was like, oh my God, I had imposter syndrome. I was like, is this real? I'm not 20, I'm not a size 0, but I'm like, no, I deserve that.
Yeah.
I was busting my butt. I learned every modality. I had packed classes. I would do very difficult things and get people to do it, and they would thrive. And like, I wasn't Instagramming, I was doing the work. And so I think the more we like live and the less we're virtually, in this fake reality and feeling the feelings. You see people like, oh, my life is great. No, it's not. Like have a human moment, because that's what makes us amazing, is feeling the feeling of failure or disappointment. I have this thing where if I do something that I'm like so disappointed in, I'm like, way to go, Valentino. And then I'm like, no, stop. Okay, what would you do better? I'm like, man, I just let myself go. And they're like, you're so intense. People always say, you're so intense. Because I allow myself to feel, to live outside. So if that's too much for you, then I apologize, go somewhere else.
But
But
it also helps you not to internalize, things that happen, and that's detrimental to the body if you're keeping everything in.
it's rough, because when you are true to yourself, you also have to protect yourself. And so I have had to learn that as well.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like, because people are on their different paths, and like the more we can honor ourselves, protect ourselves, create boundaries, and make certain things non-negotiable, people are going to treat you the way you allow yourself to be treated.
That's so true.
And so people get the signals, just like having children. They know how to manipulate. They know that this, that will get them the prize or the extra piece of candy. They're going to work you to the bone until they push you to, so they're going to get away with it. So we have to train people what's acceptable and what's not. And that's something else that in this topic that we're talking about that is super important, especially for women,
Hmm.
because we're constantly multitasking and making sure everybody's taken care of. We're caregivers and nurturers, pardon me, by nature, right? We're the
Yeah.
gatherers. And so if we put ourselves last, the cubs are going to get eaten alive.
Yeah.
There's going to be no mommy protecting them. And that's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. But, sometimes, we think that, we shouldn't put ourselves first. We should take care of everybody else. But that's the total opposite. We are the ones who, everyone, our children, our family, they need us. So we have to make sure that we're in top shape in order to have something to give.
That's right. Serious business.
Hmm.
And same thing with when you fly on a plane, the first thing they say is the oxygen mask goes on you first.
Yeah.
Hello, you need the oxygen. You need the nurturing. Could you imagine, and I'm talking to myself here, that when we nurture ourselves even more, the reward is bigger. It's like having
Yes.
a beautiful Lamborghini and you put stones in the gas tank. You're like, why isn't it driving? At this pretty bad boy. It's not going anywhere. Well, you're putting crap in it. And so I just see a lot of mental health breakdown of women not getting what they need, and men wanting to serve, but not given the tools to do it. you know, when I work with couples, it's really letting the male, like today, I feel men are not allowed to hunt or they choose not to hunt. You know, just even hunting for women as a partner, as a, you know, for evolution purposes. Now they see women on the phone. In 1 minute, you see a variety of women, you know, whatever, that would take a man lifetimes, cave days to go the
Mhm.
globe to see.
Yeah.
Or the testosterone needed to go hunt food, bring it home.
Uh,
There's Grubhub now. You sit and you don't have to hunt.
yes. Yeah.
Or just learning something or building something. Oh, I'll just order it on Amazon.
That feedback loop is closed for
And
many
so
things.
women are now working because everything costs more. So they're hunting and gathering. And then the male is hunting and sometimes gathering as well. And so both parties are like, come home exhausted. What about me?
Yeah.
And so it's a whole paradigm shift of 2024. How do we work with this genetic makeup that, like, how do you celebrate the male as the hunter and set him up to win?
Mm.
How does the woman get the nurturing when she's working as well? It's
Yeah, that's
an art form.
yeah, it's a lot to unpack. It's something that, it's not gonna change back in a year, 2 years, but definitely work in progress. So tell me what's new for you. What projects are you working on? What's next?
Well, my Broadway show, my one-woman show, I just did in July, but in the fall, possibly into the next year, we're launching a Broadway version, a long run. So it would be a solo theater house, so one of the smaller theaters on the Broadway district where
Amazing.
solo show artists perform. And I have a talk show, interactive, hilarious show called Bring Your Own Baggage. We'll help you dump it. And that's me and 20 characters that I play. So you'll get entertainment, science. It's like a one-stop shop to like feel really good and literally kick your ass into the
Wow.
stratosphere. So launching that as well with the networks and in talks with that
Nice.
now. And what else? And speaking really big. I'm doing the Global Exchange Conference. Michael J. Fox is the keynote, and we had Whoopi Goldberg and Jay Shetty and Alanis
Wow.
Morissette, great people that share the stage there. So I'm honored to lead them in a huge fitness thing and doing my own speech uh,
Congrats.
and doing some entertainment as well for them. So it's a very big one. It's really big.
Wow, amazing. Always good work. I'm so happy for you and excited to see that this next year just explode. Well, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like your older self, like 10, 20 years from now, what are you doing? What are you celebrating in the future?
What I'm celebrating is a world renowned traveling live show that shows the world what it's like to not be 20 and thrive.
Hmm.
And that show literally brings people to their knees with joy, empowerment, and entertainment. And the talk show that I'm currently doing becomes an Emmy Award winner. And I can look back and say, this is everything I wanted, was to heal the world and love people around the world.
Amazing. So beautiful. Well said. Now tell me about your provolone balls. What's that? Tell me the story.
So in stand-up comedy, I'm called the Italian Rose of Texas, Italian girl from Texas. That is a contrast. It's funny. But I would start the show with my provolone balls because it's kind of like I have my cowboy hat on with cowgirl with the rope. Instead of the rope, you got provolone balls on the ends. And so I swing the provolone balls. And what the provolone balls represent is confidence, finding your superpower. And so for me, it's about the provolone balls. They remind me to speak my truth, remind me to stay in the game and not give in to what society says, what is, or an obstacle. I just keep swinging the provolone balls. I just keep going. So I help people find their own
That's a
purpose.
good one. Find my provolone balls and keep them
Yes.
with me in my purse.
I always start to show off swinging the balls, and I'll look at somebody and be like, do my balls intimidate you?
You got some big balls, Carolann. You sure do.
I'm crazy in a good way.
In a good way, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I've learned so much every time I speak with you. Thank you for having our listeners get a little bit of some of your jewels. We look forward to hearing about all your shows in the fall.
I am so beyond excited. I'm so excited. And thank you for having me. You inspire me every day. Those of you who don't really know Gina, she's out of control. One of the most incredible human beings I've ever met, who loves her people. I have been on the receiving end of your work, and you are incredible, incredible. All you want to do is help people. That's it. And it
Thank
shows,
you.
because all of your clients, your patients are just in love with you.
Oh.
Don't tell your husband, but I'm just saying.
He knows. Thank you so much. And that concludes today's episode of the podcast, Health, Wealth, and Relationships Thriving in the Balancing Act. Tune in next time for the next episode. Thank you, everyone.
Hi.
That's all for this episode. May this discussion full of actionable tips and valuable advice guide you towards better possibilities in your personal and professional life. Continue your journey of unlocking your fullest potential by listening to more episodes of the podcast at mobilityhealthpt.com. Achieving stronger relationships, securing a thriving career, and embracing a healthier lifestyle may be daunting at first, but it is not impossible. You have the power to unleash the best version of you today. Until next time.